Hi there, just getting ready to go into a couple of thrift stores. I have a fun project to bring to you, but before I can get started, I need to find a couple of very specific items. So fingers crossed. You know how it is if you're a thrifter. You never know what you're going to find. You just got to keep an open mind about how you can use different items, repurpose. It can be so much fun. So wish me luck. My goal is to be quick, in and out, so I can get back home and start working on the project to share with you. See you soon, I hope. Okay friends, I ended up having to go to 4 different thrift stores. I found 99% of what I need. I'm still missing one item. And it's frustrating because this particular item I had and I gave it away. And now I'm kicking myself because I can't find it. But I'll keep you posted. I can't wait to create with you. Hi YouTube friends, I think we're ready to get started on this fun project. You're not going to believe how super easy and versatile this is. Okay, the first thing we want to do is we want to start to work with either our fabric or our ribbon, whatever you've decided to choose. You're going to need 150 inches, and that's to wrap around the wreath. Okay, so what I did is I took my curtain and I actually started with the hemmed part and I just cut it, and then I decided to start ripping it, and I'll show you the strips. I just cut it into strips this long. I liked the raw edge look, so that's why I decided to rip it. And then I just took it around. I started with some common pins. I'll get this one to show you. Let me just unwrap this a little bit. Show you how I started. I took 3 common pins. I used green and black, so hopefully that'll show up. And if I was doing this now, I would use a red so that it wouldn't show so much. I would suggest that you roll up your ribbon. It's a lot easier to feed through. The strips of fabric aren't as long, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you do have one continuous strip of ribbon, it's easier if you roll it. And then you just start feeding it around. Now I noticed, because I did this so many different times with so many different types of ribbon, the higher quality, like this is really stiff ribbon, so it's a little bit more difficult to wrap it. What I ended up doing is I pulled it tight and kind of held it with my finger while I brought the other section around so that I didn't get any bubbles in it. So it just takes a little bit more effort. It wasn't as easy to wrap as the white one, because the white ribbon, it's almost like a fabric, really lightweight fabric, so it wrapped really quickly. I also thought about doing burlap. I think that would be adorable. And I had this burlap ribbon from Hobby Lobby, but even this was too thick. But I have seen at the dollar store where they have the little rolls of the burlap. I don't even think it's on a spool. I think it's just tied. And that's very easy to work with. And that you could wrap that in no time at all. So just to save us time on the video, I've already gone ahead and wrapped my 2 wreaths. So I have the larger one, which I chose to do in an off-white with silver and gold. And then I have the smaller one that's in the red and the white. And I'm literally just going to tuck one wreath down inside the other. Now, it's pretty secure, but just to make sure that this stays, I'm going to use some greenery pins. They actually look like that. You can pick them up at Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to wedge one side into the red and white check and the other side into the off-white. Now the whole purpose of me using common pins, greenery pins in this piece is so that we can repurpose it. I'm all about being able to repurpose items. If you notice, I'm not using a glue gun, so we could definitely take out the pins and just unwrap this and use these items for another project. And I would strongly suggest you know, you consider, my goodness, when you see how easy this project comes together, you could do this for St. Patrick's Day, you could do this for Easter, you could have this piece up on your mantle all year long and just change out the colors. I think I spent, of course I had the window frame, so you're gonna have to add that in, but I spent under $10 on this decor piece. Okay, so I've gone all the way around with my greenery pins, and now I'm gonna start with my embellishments. I have this that I've decided I'm gonna use, and I'm gonna put it right on the front, and again, greenery pins. Now I would try to hide these as you push them in. Try to find a spot, you know, if you use something that has pom-poms, or this one has the pit berries and the pom-poms, so you just want to kind of be aware, cover it up. Not that anyone, if you put it on your mantle, no one's going to really go up and stare at where you've got your pins, but you want to hide them if you can. You could also, if you wanted to use a glue gun at this point, you could totally use a glue gun. That's up to you. I just think this is so much easier. I mean, look at how quickly this project is coming together. Okay, the next thing we want to do is add another layer of embellishment. This is adding texture. I love how this comes out at an angle. And I've decided I'm going to go ahead with this love sign. Now this is an easy one to attach because it has this twine. So all I'm going to use, you know, you want to look at this and decide where you want to put your tag. I think I'm going to put it here because that would cover one of the greenery pins. But let's just say that this didn't have this twine, and how in the world am I going to attach this is what you're thinking. Let me show you. I've already done it with my X and my O. You want to take a Chanel stem or pipe cleaner and a staple gun, and you just simply take this staple gun, lay down your pipe cleaner after you find the middle of your pipe cleaner, just like this. And then you want to lay it down like so, and then you're just going to put a couple of staples into your sign. Now one thing you want to make sure of is that your staples aren't so wide that it's going to protrude through the other side. Okay, and if you decide, sometimes I actually put glue on the staples and let it dry. I don't always do that, but sometimes I do. So that's something that you might want to think about. I'll show you. I have attached this pipe cleaner to the staples, and then what I would do is just go ahead and attach it and thread it through and twist the pipe cleaner on. Super easy. And you can attach any sign this way. So we're going to go ahead and take our love embellishment with our twine. I'm actually going to put it underneath that and cover that up. Using another greenery pin. I'm going to have my IO at the end of Valentine's this year for some real vintagey things. I even think it would be adorable to put a picture frame on here with an old vintage postcard or something like that. I was thinking you could even find a cute tea towel that you could use for fabric. Okay, so we have our sign on, we have our wreath done. Now what we're going to do, we're going to put this aside for a second, and we're going to work on our bow. First thing we need to know is how long do we need to make the tail of our bow, and for that we're going to need our window. Move these things out of the way and get our window. Now what I need to figure is I'm going to put my bow at the top of my window and have it wrap in through the wreath and come back up. So I need to know how long to make my tail. So I got my ruler here and I'm measuring down, and this is 12 inches. So I'm going to take my ribbon and I'm just going to drop it on the floor, and I am going to actually make a 24-inch tail. And it doesn't have to be exact. I'm just kind of guessing at this point. Okay, so I've got my 24-inch tail, and now I'm gonna pinch it. And I'm gonna start to make my loops for my bow. Here's an example of a bow that I've already made. This is a 6-loop bow with graduated loops. And what that simply means is each loop gets a little bit larger and a little bit larger and a little bit larger. So I'm going to start with a smaller loop. So I think that looks good to me. That's a good size. So let's measure that and see how long that is. That's just about 3 inches. So it means that the whole distance is 6 inches. So I'm going to fold that down and pinch it. Now I can see the wrong side of the ribbon is facing me, and I don't want to see that. So I'm going to keep it pinched and flip it over to see the right side. Now I want to make another loop that matches this one. So I'm going to simply just fold it down, grab it in my fingers, and pinch it. Now rather than measuring this out, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold this up, keep it pinched, hold this up and just check it against this one to make sure that they're the same length. It's almost like when you were making ears to tie your shoe, same thing. Now the next loop, I don't want the wrong side of the ribbon facing me. I'm flipping that around and I'm making this one a little bit longer. You could even at this point, if you wanted to, hold it up on the window pane and get an idea of how long you want your loops. I want my loops droopy. I want it to really pop against the window. So that's my second loop. Now I'm going to go ahead and make my second loop on this side. Make that a little bit smaller and hold these up. See how I'm doing? Oh, I gotta go a little bit longer. Oh, that's good. Okay, so I'm gonna hold that there. That looks good. Now I'm going to pinch it. Now I don't want the wrong side facing me, so I'm twisting it one more time and I'm doing my last loop. And I'm gonna hold it up there. See how I like that? Keeping all of this pinched, I'm gonna twist it again and do my last loop on this side. So both sides now have 3 loops. Oops. Okay, I'm going to pinch it, and I'm actually going to cut this back piece right now. Just like that. So I only have 1 loop. Okay, I have my 3 on each side. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I have my long 24-inch loop. I'm going to take a zip tie, keeping this pinched. And this does take a little bit of practice because you're using one hand to thread it through. Once you get it going though, you don't have to worry about it coming out. You can kind of just start to pull it. Okay, and you want to feed this big head of the zip tie to the back of your bow. Okay, you want that in the back of your bow. And we're just going to tighten it. So we have our long tail. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to snip our zip tie. We don't need that big long tail anymore. Okay, now you have an option of either using Velcro or you can use thumbtacks. It's entirely up to you. I had already used thumbtacks on this window previously, so that's what I'm going to use. But like I said, that's your call. You can do either. If you use Velcro, you could either get those small Velcro dots or you could actually cut some Velcro. So what we want to do is we want to grab our wreath and we're going to kind of position it. And just to give you an idea of how this is going to look, we're going to have our bow up at the top of the window, right up here. Like so. And then this is going to come around through the wreath. I'm going to put it underneath all the embellishments, which we can kind of play with after. And then we're going to connect it at the top of the wreath. So we have one piece of ribbon going all the way around. How easy is that? Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach it. I've got a couple of thumbtacks here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my piece down, okay? And I'm going to pull this back around, and I'm going to find my big loops, my biggest loops, and I'm going to go right up here at the top, right where they meet by the zip tie, and I'm going to catch them. And I'm also going to catch it in the top of the bow and press it in. And you could use a glue gun for this part if you think it would be easier. This one step, you could totally do that. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. Catch the other side and catch the inside of the bow. It's hard because I've got a solid wood frame here, so it's a little tough. Here we go. Here's our finished piece. Isn't this beautiful? I just love it. Now you can do this. You saw how easy this was, and just think all the options. I'm going to include a couple other pictures of different wreath ideas that I came up with, but like I said, you could do St. Patrick's Day, you could do July 4th, Christmas would be absolutely beautiful. Changing out the colors. And if you do get a window frame, like I said, mine's 2 different colors. You could paint the other side another really striking color, and everything you put on it would pop. I hope that you give this a try. Thanks for joining me. If you haven't, subscribe to our channel so that you won't miss any other tutorials that we're going to share with you. Let's get creative together.